Hey there, and welcome to the first ProFlows Live. I am Cameron, and I am glad to have you here today with me. And like I said, this is the very first Q&A with ProFlows Plus, and we're just going to go through this for about an hour, and I'm going to answer any questions you guys may have regarding motion design in general, or specific questions that have to do with the lessons that you guys have already gone through. So let's start off by you guys let me know who's here and where you're from, because this is the first ProFlows Live. I have no idea who's going to be here today, if anyone at all is even going to be here. So let me know who's here and where you're from, and we'll go from there. So also let me know that you can hear me okay. I'm coming through okay with audio and with video and all that good stuff. So let me make sure I've got this going here. Okay, cool. And I've also got a little project file I thought I'd show you guys if you're interested in seeing it. So depending on if we have questions today or not, that will determine if I show you guys a little project file. If you're shy, don't be. I love doing these lives. It's a lot of fun and gives me a chance to interact with you guys and help you out in any way I can help you out with your questions on motion design. So again, let me know who's here today. Maybe you're the first person here. Let me know who's here, and if you have a question. I also want to ask you guys, how many of you have been asked to create glitch motion? Right, so that's the lessons we just went over. I'm just curious, how many of you have been asked to do that? It's something that I see happen all the time in motion design. Lots of glitching. It's very popular right now. And then I also want to know how many of you have been able to effectively create glitch and what kind of issues maybe you've run into with that. So since you're being shy today, I'm going to go ahead and get started and just show you a little project that I actually created this week. It's kind of like a little bonus video lesson on glitching. So I haven't gone back into the project and really broken it down into step-by-step what I did. So I'm going to show you that here. And like I said, during this process, if you have any questions whatsoever on what I'm showing you or just in motion design in general, feel free to ask them and I will be happy to answer. I'll pause and I'll answer them. So, hey Ryan, it's great to have you here. You're always showing up for these calls. I appreciate it. Looks like maybe you're the only one on here so far. So that's okay. So anyways, I'm going to jump in and we've got Devix. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Devix. Devix from the Ukraine. Hey, Devix, great to have you here. Thanks for being here. Who else we have? Anybody else? Ryan is from the US. I know that. Okay, well, like I said, if you have any questions during the process, I'm happy to pause and show you, answer those questions for you. So let me jump into After Effects here. And I should be down here in the little corner. And so this is a project that I posted on social media yesterday. I'm actually going to pause my music here. I posted this on social media yesterday. It's just something I played around with the last couple of days to create kind of like a glitch effect. And I thought I'd kind of tie in with what you guys learned this past month. So thanks for the comment. Thanks for the comment, Devix. So anybody can create this kind of stuff, right? So my whole thing is that people overcomplicate motion design processes and just get really, sidetracked and like, where do I start? How do I even do this? How do I accomplish this? And I like to break it down into the most simplest and easy way possible to create something in motion design. So that's what this example is. To me, this is not very complicated, right? So you can see here, I've got 10 layers going on, happening in my timeline, and I'm just going to recreate this with a new composition, and I'll jump back and forth to this comp just to make sure I'm getting it right. But I made this at a Instagram video size. So it's 864 by 1080. A lot of people think 1920 by 1080. Well, that is good for Instagram TV. But a lot of people go 1080 by 1080, which I've learned Instagram's algorithm loves 864 by 1080. I don't know why, but that's what it is. Okay, so that's the main comp size I worked with. So we'll go into a new composition here, and we'll do 864 by 1080, and it's 4 seconds long, and it's 24 frames a second, which, you know, it's up to you what frame rate you want to work at. I love to work at 24 frames a second. It's just a little bit more cinematic to me, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with working at 30 frames, 29.7, 60, all that good stuff. So we'll call this Skull Comp 2. And we'll do that. The next thing I did is I brought in, and I don't have my assets all organized. You know, I should have done better with that. But I found this image here on, I think it was like Unsplash. Yeah, Unsplash, there you go. So I just brought the image into my composition here, and I just went ahead and pre-comped this image at this composition size, so 864 by 1080. And we'll just call this School Pre-Comp 2 because I already have a School Pre-Comp and the original. And there we go. So now we've got, if I turn on my transform controls, you can see we've got a composition inside of a composition, right? So pre-comp inside of a comp. So if I go inside here, I just started with like some simple scaling just to give it a little bit of motion. I always like to have, you know, it's okay for the skull just to sit there. It'd be really interesting if it was like a video clip of a skull doing something, but it's just a photo, which a lot of times I work with photos. You can do a lot with them, more than most people think. So I'm just going to scale it up to like 30%, right? So we're going from 27 to 30. Very simple process, just to give it a little bit of movement. And that may actually be too much movement. I just want it to be very subtle, but we'll go with that for now. Okay. So the next thing I did, let me close this, is I started working with the RGB split. Okay. So basically, a lot of times I will use a plugin to do like a chromatic aberration, but I know that some of you guys don't have a lot of plugins, and that's okay. So I wanted to show you, you know, how I would approach this without plugins. Plugins just make your life easier, and you can work through processes faster, which is why I go to them. If people like Ryan, you've heard me talk about this a lot before, I'm never super huge on just going to a plugin and saying like, this is going to make my work look awesome, because it doesn't. A plugin is just kind of like that icing on the cake, or it helps to speed up a process that maybe you need to work through quickly. That's, you know, where plugins come into play. So I'm going to take the Skull PC. I'm going to actually name it Red, and we'll go up to Effect, Channel, and Shift Channels. Is that the right one? Yeah. So we're going to take Red from Red, and you've probably seen this on ProFlows, the normal ProFlows. Pretty simple process. Set it to screen, duplicate. I'll bring this one below, and we're just doing RGB. So next would be green, and green will be red is full off, and green is from green. And then we'll duplicate it again, and we'll go down here, and this is blue. And blue will be green is full off, and blue is full on. And Ryan, you're exactly correct. It's about speed, right? So red, green, and blue, and this should be blue. That's what's messed up. There we go. So now we're back to our original image, right? So RGB, that's how I like to think of it. And I'm doing this because I wanted to, I'd seen this effect done before where you see like channels of an image kind of blur out. And I just kind of played around with this, and I wanted to just blur the red channel. Okay. So this is something that I just experimented with, and like any motion design project or anything in After Effects, you can always approach something 1,000 different ways. Okay. So I just thought, okay, I'll use directional blur, and I'll make it -90. And then I'll just start blurring it and watch what happens here. you can see it starts to kind of move off to the side. I'm going to have to crank it way up. Right, so something like that. Let me jump back in here and make sure. Yeah, because this one's a little bit more directional, -90. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for whatever reason, I'm getting more blur over here than I got before, and that's always the joy in recreating a project, as you start to see things happen that weren't happening before, but that's okay. Okay, so something else I did is I set a keyframe for the blur length. Okay, so I wanted it to be really blurry at this point at the end of the timeline, but at the beginning I wanted it to be, you know, minimal, I guess. So something like that. And then, so that's starting to look okay. It's not quite what I wanted. I like a little bit of angle, but not much. So that's kind of cool. But then if you look at the original example here, go back here, red, green, and blue. Yeah, see, I don't know why it's slightly different. It might be because the skull is actually a little bit smaller. So maybe I'll do that. So I'll scale this down to like 25, bring it down in here. You never know, right? This is probably not the reason why. Maybe 25, actually 25 to 27. Let's do that. Something like that, okay? I still don't love this, but it'll work for now. The next thing I did is I started playing with some displacement mapping, and I used 2 layers of displacement mapping, right? So I've got one that's set to this layer up here, and I've got another displacement layer that's set to this layer here. So it's, let's see, feeler and VHS. So we'll just, actually let's just copy and paste these. It's much easier. So copy these, we're gonna paste them in. They don't need to be turned on because they're there for the distortion, right? So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. There we go. And we're going to go to Effect, Distort, Displacement Mapping. And this first one is going to be set to the top layer, which is, I don't even know how you pronounce that, Feeler VHS. Now, these are footage pieces that I found on the internet that were free, right? It's one of them, or a couple of them I got from like Gumroad. Some of the other ones I just searched out. I can't pass these off to you guys because they're created by somebody else. But if you search the internet, you're going to find, you know, a ton of free assets. And that's what these are, right? If you actually search this name, Feeler VHS or VHS static noise, you'll probably find these exact clips. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply another displacement map, and I'm going to set this one to be static noise. There we go. I'm going to wrap pixels around. And I'm also going to set these to luminance. Luminance, luminance. And I'm just going to jump back in here and see what the, 25 and 5 and 5. Okay. So let's kind of crank this one up. You don't want to do too much. But, you know, just starting there, it's already starting to look more interesting. Glitchy is the effect we're going for here. And a little bit more analog glitchy. It's nice that it's got these really, digital blocks happening here. But, I mean, look at that. That looks pretty cool already, right? So the next thing I did was I went back in here and I added this VHS static noise, and I just put this above the adjustment layer. And this is the same layer as what we're seeing here. It's just turned on so that we can see this counter up here. That's all that is, right? So this is just a counter. It's footage that I just cut, in here and out here. And I set keyframes because I originally was messing around with this, but we don't even need keyframes, right? It's just, it plays and it cuts off, and that's all it is. And it's just like a little element to put at the top here, and boom, it goes away and it's gone, right? So that's added as well. And then what else we got? We have, we're getting pretty close here. So then I just took these other two pieces of footage, and this is just VHS footage again, right? And again, this is just stuff I searched out, right? And one of them is this footage right here. And actually, I'll just show you how I created this. So let's just find this up in the project. And if you look at this, I can't remember what site I got this off of, but it's a Creative Commons site, right? And it's just, it's recorded off of a TV set. Someone set up a camera and they recorded this rolling bar pattern. And I saw it one day and I'm like, that's really cool. I downloaded it and I put it in my kind of like my texture folder. And I said, one day I'll come back and I'll use this. And so I found myself using it for this. So how did I get it to look like this? Right? So it's really simple. All I did was, we'll turn this guy off. I brought it down, I rotated it, just like that. And, you know, it's kind of, it's getting there, but it needs to be stretched out a little bit. So then I scaled it up to 159%, like that. And then I did some time remapping. So I went to Layer, Time, Enable Time Remapping, and I started at frame 0, and I believe I ended, 3407. So maybe that's the end of the clip. Yeah, that is the end of the clip. So all I did was I just sped up the clip, right? So here we go, it's just sped up, and now if you play it back, it's just got this really interesting rolling video effect to it, you know, vertical. The reason I did it vertical was because the glitch effect, or the red channel is moving, you know, right to left. It's kind of sliding out. That's the original effect I created here. Yeah, everything's moving right to left from if I'm looking at it. It's right to left. So I wanted to emulate some similar motion with the rolling bars over the top of it, and that's why this footage moves right to left as well. So in order to see what's below it, all we have to do is set it to screen. There we go. It's over the top. Looking pretty dope. And then if we turn on the displacement mapping as well, right here, looking pretty cool. Something else that I did was I added this additional footage right here. And this is also from the same website that I found the rolling bars, and this is the same type of thing. I rotated it at 90 degrees and I added some time remapping to it. Same thing, 34 seconds long, stretched down to 4 seconds. So it's very quick, right? So by itself, this is what it looks like. It's just very analog glitch, in your face kind of effect. It can, if you're not careful, it can be too much. And it can be too distracting. The other big thing that happened here is I changed the transfer mode to hue, right? So a lot of times we'll just come in and we'll say, okay, let's just lay this in, you know, screen, like I did the one below it. And screen, that's what it looks like, right? And screen, it's way too distracting. So you can see there, as I'm playing back at full res here, laying in this top layer called Rewind VHS Broken. It's so distracting. Now maybe this would work for whatever, you know, purpose you're using it for. But if you really want to see that skull and focus on that, having this Rewind VHS Broken on top is just way too distracting. So this is without it, okay? So it's looking pretty cool without it, but when you add it in, it's like boom, in your face. So what I did is I do this with a lot of projects, is I just go through the different transfer modes, and I ended up settling on hue, and it just creates, you know, even more of this kind of analog glitch feel where there's separation of colors and colors are kind of smearing together, and it just works, right? And it's all about just creating these happy little accidents with your projects. So it's getting real close to the end here. I think the last thing I did is I added distort transform to the red channel. And you notice that the red channel is no longer red. It's more of like its purple tint here, which is okay. But what did I do here? I went into the red channel and I transformed the position. That's what I did. And I set a keyframe for the position. So I started here. Let's copy these position keyframes. And I'll go to this position here and I'll paste. And I pasted in the wrong place. So I'll drag these keyframes down here. And we'll play it back. Yeah, see, now it looks even crazier. I actually don't like this. I don't like how it's so smeared on this side. And I'm not sure how that happened. So I'm going to reset this. And maybe, yeah. For whatever reason, it's like whenever you recreate a project, things just don't always line up the same way. Who knows why? I don't know. But this is going to actually make it stretch out more. So there we go. That's how we got it to look a little more stretchy with that effect. And maybe here we'll just bring it in a little bit more. And I'm going to make the directional blur -90. And that, my friends, is how to create a glitchy skull project, I guess. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys. So what do you guys think? Did you get something out of that? Let me go back to my, stop that. You guys are a quiet bunch today, that's for sure. But that's okay. So, I do have a question for you guys that are on here, and that is, which of these topics appeals to you most for future lessons? And that is neon, 2.5D, or retro. So out of those three topics, neon, 2.5D, or retro, what topic appeals to you most? I'm setting up the next month's lessons at this point, and I want to know what topic people really want to learn next. Ryan, you said, never thought to use video for displacement maps before. That's such an easy look. Yeah, exactly. So I love using video for displacement mapping. What's going on there? Because it's so easy to use. So like I said, you can search out VHS footage on the internet, and actually let me pull up here, see if I can do this. Unsplash is the really place to take something to the project, by the way. What do you mean by that, Devix? I didn't quite get that one. Unsplash is really good for like, what I love about it is that you don't have to, give mention to whoever the artist was, and that's by choice that they put that photo there. But it's easy to then like distribute to other people or things like that. Creative Commons 00, I think it is. But anyways, on Google, I just like, type in like VHS footage, right? And, obviously you're going to get stuff like Shutterstock where you can go buy the footage. But, there's so much original free stuff out there. Like here, blank VHS tape with overlay footage, free download. And then, yeah, this is on YouTube. So, I mean, this stuff right here, you can create, some amazing textures with this, and amazing displacement maps with this kind of stuff. So it's really simple to find this kind of stuff. And yeah, here we've got some really interesting Pond 5. So yeah, I think you'd have to pay for this one. Pinterest. Of course, there's sites like Video Hive where they've got stuff like that. I have a membership to Envato Elements. I love that site for footage, for displacement mapping and things like that. What else? You know, what's cool too about using displacement maps is that you can like just easily, it's a really quick way to work versus creating like fractal maps and things like that and custom maps to glitch things. You can easily just, you know, go in here, and if I want to use something else, let's see what we got here. Well, these aren't actually downloaded. Hold on here. I'm trying to download some footage here real quick. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch the replay of this video. And in the replay, please answer questions that I've asked in this Q&A, which is what of those 3 topics interest you the most, and then what your experience has been like with glitch. Well, it's not going to, of course, it's not going to download in a very timely manner here. It's probably a huge file. But I just wanted to show you that it's really easy just to swap out footage. But I mean, you guys understand that. You just, you know, bring in your footage and drag it in there, swap it out, and it's going to create a completely different type of glitch look. I mean, so I dropped that in and it made it a very chunky type of glitch, which is interesting. So, but yeah, I guess that's it for today. I appreciate you guys being on here. Those of you that are on here, Ryan, you always show up to these calls. I appreciate it. And Devix, it's nice to have you on here. And you're definitely new to the whole motion science community. I don't think I've talked to you before on here, so it's great to have you here as well. And I look forward to seeing what you guys think of the next series of lessons that are coming out. They're pretty exciting, and all that stuff. So until next time, thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys real soon. See ya.